brings you joy. So we got the announcement that this is being live streamed. Okay, got it. So I'd like to sort of we've already spoken, or you've already written a lot about who you are. So I think we're gonna move forward from that. But I would love for us to take a moment and just think about what we're struggling with. So I'd like to take, let's take maybe just 3 minutes. Before we do this though, are there any questions about sort of what I outlined, or any thoughts or anything that was maybe unclear? Feel free to unmute and just let me know. I'm not seeing the chat. Let me actually just check the chat to see. I see if there's some. Oh, okay, great. Thank you, Xenia. Appreciate it. So we're going to reflect right now on what we're struggling with. And I'm going to give you all 2 minutes. And this is sort of free association. Just write what comes to mind. If it's many things, write them down. If you're one of the lucky few of us who have just one thing that you're struggling with, then I would say write into that. Write about what it is about that is challenging you in this moment. Got about 30 more seconds. And if you can just wrap up that last sentence you're working on. And know that this is just for you. This is completely confidential. You don't have to share anything that you write. So the next question that I like to ask, and I like to ask it after this, because now that we've written all our struggles, some of us may be feeling overwhelmed. But what I'd like to do is follow up with, what brings you joy? What are the things in life that you live for, that are just wonderful for you, that fill you up, that add to the quality of your life? And sometimes these things can be very, very simple and maybe even seem silly. But the way that I like to approach it is if you're thinking of something and it makes you feel like you want to smile or you feel just warmth in your chest, that's usually something that brings you joy. So whatever that is, don't judge it, just write it down. You got about 30 more seconds. And sometimes these are just a few things. But if you already have your list, then maybe think about why those things bring you joy. About 10 more seconds. All right. So again, this is totally confidential, but if there is anything that someone wants to share, maybe something that you wrote down that maybe surprised you or something that you feel is very, very true about you or about where you're at in life and that you just want to share. Again, this can be something you're struggling with or something that brings you joy, either one.
What brings me joy is my faith and my family and books, like really good books and good music too.
What was just out of curiosity, what was the last book that you really were feeling?
I would have to say the Trevor Noah one.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, and I don't remember the name of it.
It's like
Help me, folks.
born illegal or something like that.
Born a crime.
Born a
Born a
crime.
Crime,
Born a
yes.
crime.
Yes.
Okay. That was purely just because I'm always looking for new books. So I was just interested. So I may have to check that out. I appreciate it.
Please do. You'll love it.
Okay. Okay. And that's Urga?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Urga.
You're welcome.
I can share what brings you joy. My children and their thoughts. Our fight genealogies across generations of Black people, our ability to overcome, art making to discuss our joy and hope, even our issues to share colorfully, intentionally, and not apologetically and unapologetically. Recognizing genius, like this phrase that Malik B, who was a rapper, it haunts me all the time. He said he saw himself living in the calculus. So, and the genius, I celebrate the joy and the genius of him, as there is this very overlying shadow of people who are involved in hip hop to not be contributing to society, but are heavily engaged in that contribution. And so that gives me joy to say that, or even be allowed to tip in on his genius.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing the Merchant. I think we have time for maybe another person. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Danielle. And really quickly, so I'm Cookie or Michelle. And as you talked about what surprised us, as I was writing, I thought, this is what brings you joy. And I think what I've discovered is that a level of service but service to the Black female body. Because very often, Black women, we say, oh, I'm good. But when you look at their necks, you can see they're not good. When you look at their bellies, right, you can see they're not good. The cortisol. And I've really been getting joy by just being of service through the somatic work and
Mm,
helping that black woman and the black female body to kind of like find this a real release that we don't get, that like ah. And we talked about music. I'm also a drummer,
mm,
and I no longer drum, but I take the beats and the drum to the singing bowl and using that to help Black women to find that release through, movement. And it's not just the white people yoga, but it's yoga with Afro beats and yoga with the singing bowl. And even teaching free classes, but seeing how women leave just like, oh my God, that was good. And that is really bringing me joy, true, true joy.
Mhm.
So that was a surprise. And thank you for asking us to do this.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
So I think you give a great example because I feel like the way that you said the word release, oftentimes, and it's good to read over what you write because there's an emotional attachment, right? Like that, I felt release when you said release. And those are the words that I would love for you to, in your writing now, as you're looking over your writing and the words you've written down, which of the words are that are grabbing you like that make you, you know, elicit an immediate emotion. And that emotion doesn't always have to be positive, right? It can be whatever the emotion is, but whichever one is really resonating with you. And I'd love for you maybe just to circle that word. We're going to try to start simplifying and breaking things down and making it even more and more simple. So I think, release sounds like one cookie that might be, might be one for you. But if you can just find maybe one word or maybe even two that really just sort of stick out from the words. And this is not just the words you just wrote now, but also the words that you wrote under Reggie's guidance in terms of just words that just really come off the page. And I'll give you all just, a few minutes to sort of look and see if you can find one of those. And again, we're looking for one or two. And I don't know how many people have read the Marie Kondo kind of decluttering book, but what I love about it is that emotion. So just feel the emotion. If there's an emotion that comes up,
oh God.
that's probably a good word. Even if intellectually you're like, oh no, I want this one. What's actually pulling at your emotions? Because that's the telling thing.
Oh, well.
So if you found your one or two words, if you don't mind, just maybe just waving, raising your hand, letting me know. And if you need more time, just let me know too. Let me know you need more time. And I will definitely allow you to have more time because this is very important. Okay. So hopefully everyone has found a word or two. And if you can just circle that word on your piece of paper, That's all that we're going to try to work with right now. We're just going to try to work with that word. And so, or word or two. And so the next thing is, once you have that word, is we got the idea is that we're going to translate this word into a visual form. And so I'm going to use your word of release, Michelle, just because, you know, it resonated with me. And so it's like, how do we show release? What does that look like? And this is where oftentimes people get hung up, because not everyone here is a visual artist, right? A lot of us actually really like words. That's the domain that we are in, and we get that. But what I'd like to do is really start breaking things down. So if I'm thinking of release, I'm usually thinking of something that is maybe held tight by something and then let go, right? And so what I might do is I might think of maybe something that is being held, but not a hand. I want to think even more elemental. So maybe it's like a ring around something, and then that ring breaks. You know, I think of, you know, I immediately think of shackles, but it doesn't have to be that deep, but it could be. So, you know, maybe there's a ring and then it breaks. So I've drawn two shapes, and you may not be able to see this on my screen, but that could be release for me. And so that's the next step, is we're going to try to find a way to use line to figure out how to express that word. And so I have, let's do that first, and then I'll show how that evolves into one of these masks. So again, look at your word and think of a way to do it. This is not easy for folks who are not visual. I understand that. And so if you would like some help, I am here to help walk you through it. And it might be even a wonderful thing for other people to see, because it may spark some ideas for other people. So if you'd like some help, please let me know. But let's take a few minutes and just work on that. Ooh, Sonia, peace. Yes. That's a big one for me too. So these words are very conceptual, right? How do you show peace? That's hard.
So I tend to, actually, let me get to my video. I'm sorry. I came on late, so I didn't want to be disrespectful. Hi.
You came right on time, Sonia. It's all good.
So the word peace for me, so there are a lot of folks that look at art, like when I say art, I'm like, you know, African art pieces and certain things that brings them joy or brings them peace, or, you know, I tend to gravitate towards Asian things, like, you know, maybe some bamboo, some, you know, like the snow form, whatever it is that's more Asian themed, I gravitate to. And I don't know why. I like African art, but I gravitate more towards the Asian art, and their drawings and paintings. And what I see from it is all calm. It's always calm. It's never ever, there's not a lot of, you know, a lot of stuff in it. It's just what you see, very simple. And, you know, there's nothing that comes of it. It just, you look at it, and however it brings, whatever it brings up inside of you is what I feel. And that's where the peace comes from.
Yeah. And I'm really glad you kind of mentioned that, because what we're doing is we're creating a visual language for ourselves. So you don't have to worry if this is going to communicate for someone else. It just has to communicate to you. So, you know, if I think, and what it's great about, and sort of starting to interrogate these words, you brought up simplicity, and that is something you can show visually, easily. And I think, you know, what I saw was a simple circle, and that's it. And, you know, obviously there's all this sort of attachments we attach to the circle, you know, circle of life and things like that, but more just that it's a single shape, it's whole, and it's existing. by itself. And, you know, that could be your shape. Or it could be, you know, or you could do many different things, but figuring out what about that word is important to you. I heard from you that simplicity was important about peace, the piece of being simple. And so that can inform sort of your idea, whatever that ends up being. So thank you for sharing. Anyone else either having a tough time or wanting to walk through? Okay, I see you, Laverne. You said my word is hope. Yeah. So Laverne, do you mind sort of sharing about that? Oh, and you are muted. Okay.
That was challenging. First I had to get out of my head and not think definition of, operational definition of, but just some kind of graphic. And then I don't know if you can see this. It's a heart and it's inside of a box that has all openings around in the box. And when I first did the heart, because I said, how do I experience hope? And I immediately went here. But then I said, oh, I don't want to draw a heart. That's so like juvenile. And, you know, I'm judging. And I was like, no, just go ahead and do it. No, you don't have to show it. They don't have to know how juvenile, sophomore. But then I said, then I was like, okay, get out of your head again. Go back in here to this. And that's when I put the box around with all of these openings. So it's like all dashes, because this kind of hope flows through. It can't be boxed in. It flows through and it flows freely.
I love that. And I think that yes, we can't be afraid to go with our first instincts. And I love the box, and I love things coming from inside out. And I think that I understand your self-critique around the heart. I would say that there's nothing wrong with the heart, but I would push you to say, what's an even more Laverne way of showing that? Because a heart someone else came up with, right? But when I heard you describe that hope going from inside out, maybe it's just rays coming from inside that box, going through those openings, right? And and yeah, I mean, like, I really love that symbol. I just love the symbol of a box, right? We have so many negative connotations of a box, but what if we were to open that box and able to bring what's inside out? And that's so beautiful. I think that's a wonderful way to visualize that. So thank you for sharing.
Danielle, I'm
Yes.
having a problem because
Yes.
now, as you describe this, I'm thinking I want to wear this mask all month. And I'm thinking about an open mouth with almost like bubbles or like smoke coming out, because for us as Black people, specifically as Black women, we're muted. But the release is being able to say what you want, when you want, to whom you want, how you want, and that's true release. So I can imagine almost for a week, as the Black administrator activist, to be walking around with this mask with the open mouth with just things sort of like floating up from the side. And I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying everything.
Yes. So okay, so I think we're in a good space. Because now we can start taking these ideas and going to the next step. So I'm going to, and also I'm looking at the time, I want to be cognizant of everyone's time, but the process that you just outlined is exactly what we're going to do next. So you got a vision. So let's keep that vision. So we are going to, let me get back to my presentation. So right now we're going to go from concept to actual visualization. So when we're thinking of drafting, and this is what I do before every mask, I start by mapping my face. And so if you have a piece of paper next to you, I'd love for you to go through this. You start, and this is for everybody, for folks who are not drawers, it's okay. I'm gonna walk you through the process. You're gonna start by just drawing an oval on your piece of paper. And that oval doesn't need to be perfect. Nothing needs to be perfect about this process because we're just drafting. So I drew an oval. And then I'm going to just draw a line down the center of that oval. The vertical line down the center of that oval. And that just cuts it in half. And then I'm going to do another line down the center horizontally. And that just cuts it into 4. All right, you with me? Okay, I haven't lost anyone yet. Okay, cool. So this is basically a map of a face. And we know from extensive research that for a common human, and we're much more similar than we are different. For a common human, our eyes generally fall on this line, on this horizontal line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 2 ovals on that line. And it's usually somewhere between the center of this vertical line and the edge of our face is usually where our eyes sit. I'm not trying to be any more detailed than that. And then what I'm going to do is, generally speaking, for the vast majority of humans, from the midpoint here where the eyes sit down to the chin, halfway through that is generally where your nose lies. So I'm just going to put sort of a U, right, of where my nose is. And then between your nose, and sorry if I'm going really slowly for folks who are visual artists, just bear with me because not all of us are. From your nose to your chin, halfway between there is generally where your mouth's going to be. So I'm just going to put a circle denoting where my mouth is. And honestly, that's as detailed as you have to get in terms of drafting your mask. If you want to take a moment and try to draw yourself, you totally can. But that's all information you need because that's basically telling you the geography of your face. The last thing that I welcome people to do is to look and try to find your hairline, because that will dictate sort of the end of your face, right? And so try to rough out kind of where your hair sits in relation to these objects that are representing our eyes and our nose and our mouth. And again, this does not have to be perfect. I sometimes add ears. The ears are generally going to be sitting around where your eyes are. And, you know, that's sort of my hairline here. And so I know all this space is the space I have to play with. And so then we're going to take our ideas. I'm going to take my idea here of this sort of ring that's broken. And I'm going to try to put this on my face. So there's a couple of things when we are designing our mask. And hopefully I've shown you in some of the examples that I showed earlier. What really works well with these are very big, bold shapes. Because when you go to actually paint them, you don't have these really fine-toothed paints that can draw these little kind of small lines. And plus, if it's really small, people can't see it. The beauty of these is that they're bold, they're big and bold. So take your idea, whatever concept you have, and put it on that face map somewhere, but make it large. Take up a large amount of space there. So if I'm going to do my sort of broken circle, I might do something like, and I will show you all in a second. Let me just draw it first. I might do something like this. Right, there's my broken circle. And immediately, once you put it on a face, it starts to look interesting. And I may just, you know, because I want to fill it in and see what it looks like, I may just sort of fill in with a shading here. And please continue, start doing this yourself. You don't have to wait for me to tell you to start. You can start doing this yourself as I'm walking through, because again, I want to make sure that we all have enough time to create a design. And I'm also, if you notice, I'm not being too careful, because I may end up making 3 of these until I find out which one's really going to work. right? So it's about drafting, it's working fast, and just seeing things out. A couple things to keep in mind if we were actually going to paint these on our faces is to understand that around the eyes is a sensitive area. So you don't want to have too much detail work there because it's just sensitive. And again, you want to just make your idea big. So we're going to take a few more minutes to just sort of play around with this, try out several different things. I see that. Okay, yeah, some people have more real estate in certain parts of their faces than others. That's a good observation to make. It's just more for you to play around with. And if you're still struggling with an idea, with a concept, let me know and we can talk through it. But let's take a few minutes and just kind of work on some ideas.
So I am having a little bit of trouble, Daniel.
Okay.
My word was alchemy.
Alchemy. So can you talk to me about alchemy? Why is alchemy resonate with you?
Because it's already transformative, but it's actually it has the power of creation from so there's something about the power of creation and the ability potentially to infuse purpose into something that may seem purposeless. To make something, discovering a new way to use an old thing. For me is what alchemist means. So it's like this creative capacity.
Yeah. So I think the big thing is what I'm hearing from you, and please let me know if I'm not hearing it right, is the idea of transformation, of changing something into something else. And that the possibility of that. And so that can be broken down very simply visually by showing one object changing into another. Right. And so several ways that you might want to approach it, right? I like to use elemental shapes, circles, squares, triangles, just because they make up all other shapes that we know. So if I start with a circle, right? Let's say that's where I'm starting at. Hopefully you can see this. And let's say there's another purpose for this. So another shape that might resonate. I like stars. That's the shape that I feel like shows me purpose. Right. And so I'll draw a star here. And then the idea is, this is the alchemy, right? The alchemy is happening here. How do we move from here to here? And so you can do something. You can simply connect them, or you can draw something that's almost in the middle, in between them. And you're showing almost like an animation. I have an animation background, so that's kind of how I think. You're showing a process. And this doesn't have to be, this can be like going from a small dot to a big dot. It can be whatever, but the idea is that you're showing a change over time.
Okay.
And so that would be what I would suggest for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Hope that was helpful. Just a time check. When are we scheduled to end this session?
At 8.
At 8. Okay, great, cool. So we have some time. So is there anyone else who would like some help talking through their design?
Yeah, Daniel,
Sure.
I'm wrestling with the idea of rejection, right? I'm coming up with metaphor, but I'm trying to think about them visually. So the idea of rejection, something, I don't know, maybe something sent away, something not heard, something not understood. Um, any thoughts that you might have around that, at any time would probably be helpful.
So what immediately came to mind, I don't want to be prescriptive with this, but I did see something when you were speaking.
Okay.
And what I saw was that if I were to make a mask around rejection, I would have the majority of the face in one color, almost like a mask, and then the rest of the face in another color, in another shape in that other color. So let me draw this out for you. Let me get a piece of paper. So I'm going to draw my face here, draw an oval, draw the eyes, the nose, the mouth, rough hairline. Really quick. All right, so this is my new map of my face. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what I was thinking of is if I were to draw, because when I see rejection, I see like something that's not part of the in group. It's not, that is outside of a larger group. And so I would think about bisecting the face underneath the eyes and filling all this with one color. And, whatever color resonates with you. And then this other part, I would fill in with another color. And I'm just going to represent that with a different crosshatch pattern. And then I would put a single shape. And I love circles. That's what I go to, but it can be any shape that's existing in that other space.
Mm-hmm.
And if I wanted to continue at it, I would just put a bunch of circles in here, just showing that this is where circles should be, but this one circle is not there. And I think the interesting thing about making these sort of visual maps of an idea is it actually unlocks things. So this circle here that we talked about as being sort of rejected, it could also mean that this circle is free. It could also mean that this circle is unique, special even, right? And so it also allows you to process what rejection means. If you receive rejection, if you feel like you're not a part of something, that could mean that you are designated for something special. That could mean that you are exploring places that others have not been. And you could find value even in the act of being rejected, because we all do experience rejection at some point in our lives.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you all just a few more minutes. And then I would love to just share out, because again, we're not masking each other. We're just sharing out our thought processes with each other. And I think that's very powerful. And it'll also allow people to speak to each other. I would love for this to be a discussion. So if you hear something that resonates, or you get an idea that you want to share with somebody about what they're sharing, please feel free to chime in. So I'll give you all another, let's say I'll give you all another 3 minutes. And again, if you're having difficulty, let me know. I'm here for you. And then we'll come together and just talk through what we came up with.
Well, Daniel, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm not so my word was joy, but then when I start drawing my math, my word changed. Does that happen sometimes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's great.
Yeah.
It always happens. Whatever I draft in terms of what I think I'm going to put on my face always changes. And at first it was very frustrating until I learned to accept it, that's part of the process, right? Is change. And so that's actually great. I think that means that you probably approached something that was even more unique, pressing, important to this moment, because you couldn't have predicted it.
Yeah. As I started drawing on the math, I was like, oh no, this is something else.
What do you feel about that change?
I feel fine. I feel fine. It was joy, and then as I'm drawing, I was like, no, it's authenticity. So yeah.
what does authenticity mean to you?
Pretty much just being true to yourself.
What's kind of dope and kind of meta about this is that you accepting the fact that it changed from joy to something else was you being authentic to yourself. Because you could have been like, no, I want joy. I'm gonna make it joy.
No, as I was drawing, I was like, this looks more like authentic. I think it's authenticity. That's my word. Yeah. I'm not gonna show you the mask because
That's all right. That's all right.
yeah. Yeah, like, yeah, that's pretty authentic.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Again, this as Lamerche said, this is a judge-free zone.
Yes, yes.
As long as you're making lines and shapes on paper, my job is done. You're creating.
Okay, beautiful. So.
So we got about another minute for folks to just sort of finish up what they're doing. Again, you'll have the rest of your lives to iterate on this and ponder it. But just in the interest of time, I want to give us time to talk and discuss and share with each other.
We're gonna need a whole lot of time, Daniel.
What's that?
I said we're gonna need a whole lot of time.
So let's start then. Let's start that process. Does anybody feel brave enough to start us off by sharing a little bit about what they did?
I'll start.
All right.
After your help, I think I actually came to something that feels really true. So
Awesome.
This is my image.
Ooh, I like that.
Nice.
And so what it is I started with a sickle that actually becomes an apostrophe.
I was gonna say, okay, yep, okay.
And then actually also, I feel like it can also be a play on a quotation, a bubble quotation mark with that little point at the end and then expansion. And it feels like it covers so much of, I think, who and I'm sorry. And then these pieces here are blades of grass that the sickle cuts. And then that is a dash.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about this image, I think what it really sort of speaks to for me is the idea of transformation and being able to infuse something that may seem to have one purpose with another purpose. But at the same time, this sickle cutting through things that are unnecessary, untrue, burdening, and then liberating through words, creativity, through expression. So that's how this speaks to me.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Xenia. Any comments or I see you getting some hearts, you're getting some claps from folks. One question I have for you, what colors did any colors come to your mind? I know we're not using colors right now, but did any colors come to your mind as you were thinking about your design?
So black, white, green, and yellow.
Okay. Awesome.
Can I ask why? Like, what do those colors represent? I'm just curious.
Well, so the green is really blades of grass. So I think and then yellow for me it feels like my, what is it you call it? Anyway, it's my color. Yellow is my color. And so when I think about the sickle turning into something that becomes powerful in expression, I feel like that's the brightest moment I can be. That's the brightest place I can stand in. And then the black and white feels like, for me, because I think I'm a Black encourager, those were my two words. I feel like I'm standing against untruths into truth and separating this making the
separations between what is possible in all things that stand up against untruths.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
All right, so I don't know. Am I there? I can't.
Oh, wow.
So,
I had to come off of mute for that one. You ain't gonna come in here with no colors.
I know. Look,
Really,
Lamerci over here cheating.
well, that's because I drew a marker. Excuse me.
Lamerci praise her. Really?
You know you wrong for that. You know you
So
you
wrong.
know you wrong for that.
So wrong.
Wait a minute,
Lamerci about to
hold
blow
up.
us all
I
out
was
the
doing
water.
lines. I was
Break
doing
it down,
lines.
Lamerci. Break it down. Break it down.
Okay. So y'all said judgment free. Okay. And all I had to draw with was these markers. Okay. All right. So therefore, here we go. I wrote when I wrote a response to challenges, and mine is about struggle here. The struggle that has to do with our human dismantling, the lack of respect for each other, and the honor of being together and being human. So when I thought about some of the events that have been passing us by here, oh when are we going to be honoring ourselves as human? What good is it if we can't go to the grocery store? That's a question. And be safe. What good is it if we can't go to school and be safe? What good is it if we are not protected by that universal of love? What good is it? So these are my 3 question marks that ask, what good is it?
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come in
No,
with
do not apologize. Do not
got all
apologize for
mixed
that.
up just now. All right.
I love it. We got very deep. Yeah, the inquiry is great. Inquiry is everything. The questions we ask determine what we find, determine our answers, right? So that is very deep. And I hope that you find answers to those questions for yourself.
Yeah, what good is it? Wow.
Thank you, Lamerci. Appreciate it. Do we have anyone else who wants to share? We got 10 more minutes, y'all. Let's use up all 10 minutes to share what we accomplished together.
Sure, I'll do it something.
All right. Thank you.
I don't know if I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can put a backing on this.
Nice. I like that.
I don't know if anybody can see that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But okay, so what we have under here is we have two Christian crosses. For me, one of them represents my mother and one of them represents my brother. And right here, that is a black box, which represents me. And I've always felt like the thing they could not see into and understand. And how much of this was actually filtered by their idea of what they think religion is asking of them and how it's making them see me. My mother is a Jehovah's Witness. And as I like to tell people, as I grew older, her religion grew too small to contain my growing idea of what God is. And so I knew that in our religion, what that meant was that if I turned my back on that, she turns her back on me, because they do practice shunning. And my brother he's much more of a Christian evangelical. And I think his interpretations of the Bible or what he reads tries to keep women in a lesser position. And I constantly have to correct the brother when he speaks about what a woman is and should be and all of this stuff. And so it becomes a constant source of fighting back and forth, even to the degree when me and my wife first were getting married, he tried to pull a Bible verse that says the marriage bed should not be defiled, meaning that she is to listen to me totally in things of a sexual nature. And so, so you got the idea of me having to fight those patriarchal sort of, and rejective ideas. What you see above right there is two hands, which are reaching out, which is me contemplating, if I could get this closer.
Yep.
Should I, because I've sort of rejected them and they've rejected me to a degree, but lately I'm like, maybe I should reach out. You know what I'm saying? Just to see if whatever relationship is going to be possible, can we sort of act out of what is the best of what we can have with each other. But your idea, which you talked about as far as the circle, that was also free, right? There's that part of me which feels strong enough to reach out to them, but also in a position of saying, I think my life is pretty good without having that be part of it. And so asking myself to Lamercy's questions, which is, what good does it do? But also, is there something that I'm hoping to gain for me? Or is there something that I'm thinking a relationship with me might do for them? I don't want to be that arrogant or vain about it, you know, but it's a thing I've been wrestling with. Am I doing this for them or for me? And what is the right reasons if I do decide to reach out to them?
Reggie,
Awesome.
thank you
That- I
for
mean,
sharing.
yeah.
Can I ask about the word that you had asked about earlier with the rejection?
Yes. What did you want to ask about?
So can you talk a little bit more about that in regards to what you just shared?
Sure.
Like, where does that fit?
Well, okay, thank you. Which is, I have felt rejected by both of them. Like my mother's religion actually demands a rejection, right? A turning of the back. My brother, his understanding of his religion, I reject that. And when we argue, you know, about it, you know, he sometimes doesn't want to hear what it is that I have to say about it. So there's a rejection of my point of view from him as well. And so when I'm feeling rejected by people, I typically don't wish to reach out to them, right? But I'm at a space in my life where I'm like, you know, I'm about to be 55, you know what I mean? And you know, I just became a grandfather. And so it's like, maybe it's time to bring some people back into the fold and see if there's some parts of the fold that I can also be brought into. So maybe it's should I keep the rejection going because my life is doing pretty good right now? And do I want to bring that in, or do I want to stop the rejection to whatever degree it is that I can stop this? Also accepting my rejection of them as well.
Wow.
Thank you.
I-
Black
I
don't
do-
crack, I'm shocked.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say,
I-
you look at least 35. I didn't know that you were 55. You look absolutely great. for
Thank
55.
you. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just want to say that I have put into the chat, everyone, 2 different forms and 2 different links for you to fill out so we can get money to keep doing this. So
Pay them bills, girl. Pay them bills.
everybody, you know, commercial break.
We're not gonna let them leave the merchant until they do them. We're not gonna let them leave.
Okay.
Yeah,
Would you
we're
like-
gonna-
should-
we're
should-
gonna leave a few
Hey,
minutes
hey.
at the end for folks to fill those out.
Just
for
a question,
sure.
Lamercy. Should me and Daniel also fill it out? Because I'm taking Daniel's workshop. He took mine. Should we fill those out too?
Yes.
Okay.
Please, if you so desire, absolutely.
Sure.
So Reggie, I just want to respond.
Sure.
Definitely appreciate the level of transparency, because those are some deep issues, and they're issues that I can relate to. Like I was raised in the church, so that whole rejection thing is real, and it's like a lifetime burden for that. And so like I just want to share with you in that and understand how difficult that is, and appreciate your willingness to share that with a group of folks.
Thank you, Rob.
That's
I'm glad you
dope.
guys were listening.
So
Yeah,
beautiful.
absolutely. And the concept is dope. The actual mask that you created would be really stunning to see on your face. So
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Sure.
I think we have time for maybe one more person to share, and then I'm gonna leave
And
a
I'm
few
just gonna
minutes.
jump in here for a second. I know that
Oh,
we
yes.
are approaching time. Our presenters, if they would grace us with going over a little bit more, I'm certainly happy to make sure that people who want to share have the opportunity to share. If you need to step off, please feel free to do so. Do the evaluation before you do.
There's 2 forms.
And then 2 forms. and then come back. But I don't want to cut this process short. So we'll go as long as we need to help everyone share.
Absolutely. And I am down to continue this conversation. But we also understand if you have to leave, just please do make sure that you fill out those forms before you do. So with that, you know, everyone who would like to share and has time, I would love to hear from you. So does anyone else want to share?
I would love to share, but my daughter's gonna be louder than I am. Sorry.
Hey.
Can you show her? Can you put her in the
if you feel comfortable doing that.
Right. Hi, sweet.
Hey.
Okay. All right, mama.
Oh, wow. She's so
He
cute.
said hi. All right. I'm trying to get some help. So I'll be quick. My word was faith. And I can't show the picture because I'm not talented, right? So I was thinking the shape of teardrops, and my color is yellow and also red, because within the teardrops, I'm thinking flame as well. That's how we can see it on the face with all of my forehead as well, to just bring it all together.
Yeah.
It's just so powerful, yeah.
That's so interesting. And you remind me your word again. Your word was hope.
Faith.
Faith.
Faith. Okay. And it's so interesting that the red and yellow, because there's fire, and then I also think blood too. And then there's yellow, which I think, you know, light, but also, you know, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot. There's a lot there. There's a lot of meaning there. What do other folks think?
I had a question about the teardrop. Is the teardrop transforming into fire?
Yes, I thought of this shape, like what shape would that faith look like? And teardrop came to mind, which is interchangeable with the fire, with the flames.
And why a teardrop?
There's a lot of trauma, a lot of pain. So I'm coming from there, but the faith has kept me hopeful and has shown me light through the darkness as the flames of the fire.
Wow.
Nice.
Nice. Powerful.
I want to see that drawing. Just because I feel like it's not when we think about drawing, right? And this is me coming from a visual artist, went to school for drawing. What I've learned, it's not so much about the quality of how much your drawing matches some idea that either I or you have. It's actually in the actual mark making. There's so much expression in how you draw that is so unique and interesting to look at. And that to me is what I look for. And so I'm more looking at how you make your marks than necessarily how much your marks look like some kind of concept or something. But only at your comfort level. This is whatever you'd like to share. Oh.
It's because I have the blurred vision. Like the blurred background.
Okay.
I have to dismantle that and then
let me
see what I can do.
Okay. I appreciate you. While Urga is working that out, did anyone else want to share? So Urga, you may be our last, if you can figure it out. If you can't, that's okay. It's all good. What you shared, I mean, I think we all got a visual of what that would look like. So I appreciate your willingness to as well. I appreciate that, pushing yourself through that. But it is 8:02. I would like to again allow you all some time to fill out those forms. I'm just gonna wrap up my segment with just a thank you. Thank you for sharing yourselves with me and going on this journey. Especially if you're not a visual artist, I appreciate you just going through the process. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the night. In terms of shameless plugs, I'm having an event. I'm co-producing an event at the Arnold Arboretum that's going to be happening July 9th, where there's going to be a bunch of people doing this activity, and a bunch of people will actually be painting, and we'll be transforming ourselves into walking works of art. And there's many different performances from people of color that's going to be at the Arnold Arboretum, and that's happening July 9th. I will put in the chat the web link to the event so that you can get more information, but you are all warmly invited.
All right. And I really appreciate Reggie and Daniel Lemerche for insisting on our collaboration. This was wonderful. And I'm so grateful for our master creators and our master facilitators today. I can't imagine. Yes, thank you. Thank you for ushering us into a deeper place, that freedom inside of us. Thank you so much. And we can't wait to do it again. We'll find another opportunity. We'll get another excuse somehow to be back. And shameless plugs again. We are the Race Recovery Project, and so our aim is to liberate Black people from the bondage of internalized supremacy and racism. And we want to celebrate Black life. We want to thrive in Black life. We want to embrace all that is Black life. So continue to follow us, connect with us. Build with us as we sort of build our community and really extend ourselves in the world, in our personhoods, in our identities, in our contributions in ways that no oppressor could have ever thought possible. So thank you all for joining us. Yes. Do fill out the evaluation forms. Is everybody done? Because I'm not gonna log you off until you're done.
I'm gonna do it right now. I'm doing it right now.
I did it.
I do want to make an announcement that Reggie Gibson will be with us at Spoke at 6:30 tomorrow night.
Okay.
In a writer's workshop. Ponder the Page and his wonderfulness will be with us again. Woo! Okay, so SPOKE is the website, and it's on there for you to be able to link in and register. So along with Daniel's wonderful mask, if you get a chance to do that, please do it. I'm very remiss that I will be away, and I can't. And I'll be there for lovely. Please go, and please come tomorrow night if you can for another part of Ponder the Page. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, everyone's finished their evaluations. All right, I will give you leave.